أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من اللعين الشيطان الرجيم بفضل الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين أرواحنا لتراب مقدمه الفداء. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. أوصيكم عباد الله وأوصي نفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في محكم كتابه المجيد: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله. Indeed, he is successful, the one who works hard to purify his soul, and he is in a loss, the one who neglects it. Our jihad is in purifying ourselves. This is indeed the greatest jihad. We have to make an effort to improve on ourselves, to enhance our faith and our iman. And it is for this reason that I chose to discuss a little bit, to the best of my ability, the dua of Al-Imam Sajjad salawatullahi salamu alayhi on Makarim al-Akhlaq, so that we can all of us learn something from this dua, this great dua. It guides us to the best of Akhlaq. Because Akhlaq is the goal. Akhlaq is the aim. As the Prophet ﷺ tells us, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. The purpose, the reason why I've been sent is to perfect morality. So we have to look into this, and we have to find ways of acquiring these traits of akhlaq. We reach to this phrase whereby Al-Imam says, وَأَجْرَ لِلنَّاسِ عَلَى يَدَيَّ الْخَيْرِ. So he prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he causes khair to pass through his hands to the people, that people benefit from him. وَأَجْرَ لِلنَّاسِ عَلَى يَدَيَّ الْخَيْرِ. That people should benefit from him, and that this is continuous. This is something that does not stop. So jara is something that flows continuously, just like the water flows in the river. So khair is to flow from him. However, at the same time, he is cautious that this does not get spoiled, that this khair that comes from him remains to benefit him. It's not spoiled, it's not destroyed by al-man. Al-man is to mention it, is to consider the favor on the person that you have given, you have done the good to. Al-man. So you mention it, whether to him directly or to others. I did this, I did that. And you want to show the greatness, to glorify the good that you have done. لا تمحقه بالمن. This is in line with what we read in Surah Al-Baqarah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, لا تبطلوا صدقاتكم بالمن والأذى. Do not destroy your sadaqat, your charity, by doing favor, by making it a favor, or by glorifying it, and by injuring and annoying the people that you have done good to. Instead of doing sadaqah and doing man and injuring the feelings of the people, you better just say a good word. قول معروف خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى. That a good word to a person is better than charity that is followed by man and al-adha. Then Imam says, وَهَبْ لِيَ مَعَالِيَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. This is a dua. In the commentary, Sheikh Makarim Shirazi, Hafidhahullah Ta'ala, says, though the Imam is teaching us certain things, is passing a certain message to us, but at the same time, the Imam is truly also asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for certain things. And there is no harm in that. Because the Aimma alayhim salam and the prophets, though they are ma'sumin, but the path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is continuous. So they continuously strive to reach the highest level of isma, to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as it is possible. So there is nothing wrong that Imam truly intends to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of this. And in turn, it's a lesson for all of us. So he says, وَهَبْ لِيَ مَعَالِيَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. A hiba is different from al-ata. This way you find very slim line of translation for Arabic. When you see it in English, you'll see ata and hiba is the same. It's translated as the same. So give me. So he's saying, give me this. But there is a very interesting meaning, alaykum salam, interesting meaning in the al-hiba. So al-hiba, as we know in fiqh, is you give somebody something. It is aqd, is actually a contract that I'm giving you this and you accept it. So there is ijab and qabul. So I give you this ring as hiba and you accept it. The only difference between it and selling and buying is what? That there's nothing the giver expects from the one who is given. So there is no iwad, there's no price, there is no thaman. So you don't give me in turn anything. And that is hiba. So I've given you something, you accept it, and there is no anything in return that you are giving me. Al-ata is just to give. Anybody to give anything. And this could be to human beings, to those with aql, and those without aql. So you can say, I've given the cat, for example, milk. It's ata. But you can't say, وَهَبْتُ الْقِطَّ الْحَلِيبِ. I've given a hiba of milk to the cat. It's not acceptable in an Arabic application. Or you can say ata. So you see how Imam chooses the words that he says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And subhanallah, from this you can understand one thing, that we couldn't learn how to speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without the words of Aimma alayhim salam. No, they chose the words. So he says, وَهَبْلِي. So habli means make me own it. I want to own it. It's not ariya, it's not that lend me. Okay, sometimes we give something just as lending, it's a loan, something temporarily. But Imam is asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you make me own. Own what? Ma'ali al-akhlaq. That they become my nature, they become owned by me. I own these traits of akhlaq. Which traits of akhlaq? Ma'ali al-akhlaq. So ma'aliya is a proof of ma'alat, and it is something that is so high, not the highest level, ma'alat. It's not just aliyah. And when he uses this, we can understand one good thing, one important thing with it. That he did not say al-akhlaq al-hasana. So there's a difference between good morals, akhlaq al-hasana, and ma'ali al-akhlaq. Then he did not start with al-akhlaq and said al-aliya, al-akhlaq al-aliya, the morals that are high. He started with ma'ali al-akhlaq to point to one important thing, that he is asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of the highest level of the traits of akhlaq. And he's asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make him own those akhlaq, that they become his nature. Because sometimes one does something good. His akhlaq has done something good, and he is therefore said to have good akhlaq, akhlaq hasana. But it's not necessarily a trait that is natural to his being. It could be temporal. It could be influenced by his own hawa, by his own shahwa. There's an interest in it. Like a person smiling on people because he knows that if I frown on people, they're not going to love me. So I have to keep on smiling. So people they will like me. I attract people to me. So it's not like this akhlaq of smile is something that is coming out natural without an interest. There is an interest for it. A person gives charity because it will earn him some honor and respect among the people. So he is generous, he's karimun, but there is an interest in that. He earns something in turn. Now, ma'ali al-akhlaq on the opposite is that it is his nature. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, among his traits is bassam. He's always smiling. And this was his nature. It was not something that he will put on. He will put on a smile, not like trying to smile on the face of the people. Like it's his nature. He's a smiling person. He's bassam, and frequently would do that. And the akhlaq from him were natural. So his forgiving is natural. It's expected from him. That's why when they conquered Makkah, and he asked the people, "What do you think I'm going to do?" The expectation of the people is that he's going to forgive them. They told him, Akhun Karim bin Akhin Karim. He's a good brother of son of a good brother. This is his nature. And this is the trait of the Imam alayhi salam. This is ma'ali al-akhlaq. So ma'ali al-akhlaq sometimes is that a person acts even contrary to what is expected, contrary to his own hawa, on the inclinations of the self, contrary to the interests that would be expected of something when a person has reached that level. So for example, what Imam is going to speak later on to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and teach us of, like doing something good to a person who does good to you is something that is expected. It's natural that you do good to a person who has done good to you. But doing good to a person who has wronged you is not expected. It is contrary to what is a norm among the people. Like, how do you do good to a person who is injuring you, who is insulting you, who is abusing you? That you join a person who has cut relationship with you. He doesn't want to relate to you, but you are trying to maintain that relationship. Okay? That you give a person who has denied you. So these are traits that are not natural for many people. They are not the expectation of many people. They are the highest level of akhlaq. Okay? And this is what Imam is asking for. And he's not just asking that I behave in this way when it's convenient for me, when it's going to benefit me, but I behave like this in a natural way. That this is part of my akhlaq. وَهَبْ لِيَ مَعَالِيَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. So, give me to possess the highest morals that become my nature. وَهَبْ لِيَ مَعَالِيَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. But at the same time, oh my Lord, وَعَصِمْنِي مِنَ الْفَخْرِ. Naturally, if a person acquires a certain trade, a noble trade, and reaches a certain level, this may cause him to develop some self-glorification, self-admiration, and to see himself to be at a certain stage, at a certain level. If a person is generous, if a person is behaving well, he might develop some ghurur in himself, some fakhr in himself. Imam says, I would like to own, to possess the highest level of akhlaq, but at the same time, oh my Lord, protect me Al-isma is a protection. Al-isma is a shield, that you shield me from vain glorification. So I don't glorify myself. I don't see myself to be better in a sense that I am above others. Okay? وَعَصِمْنِي مِنَ الْفَقْرِ, and preserve me, protect me from vain glory. Then he continues and says, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali. And this is a phrase that is repeated by Imam every after some lines in the dua, teaching us the importance of salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We are told that no dua is raised or accepted, no dua raises to the heavens without salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just gives us because of His mercy, not that because we deserve, actually. وَلَا تَرْفَعْنِ فِي النَّاسِ دَرَجَةً. Then Imam says, and do not raise me amongst the people, daraja. Daraja here is used in an indefinite manner, daraja. Meaning that any rank, daraja, it could be a single rank, in whichever way. So I'm seen amongst the people to have status, higher status, in any way. Do not make me amongst the people to have a higher rank, to be seen to be better than others. إِلَّا حَطَّتَّنِي عِنْدَ نَفْسِي مِثْلِهَا. But you make me go down in myself, that I lower myself at the same time, at the same level. That in the eyes of the people, I'm seen to have a certain rank, a certain position. Make me feel humility in myself. I do not glorify myself inside myself. I do not see rif'ah. So there is these two things here. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raises you. He causes you to be respected amongst the people. And there is a shu'ur bidhillah, the feeling of humility in yourself. That the praise of the people do not make me feel better, to feel higher, to be at a higher position than others. إِلَّا حَطَّتَّنِي عِنْدَ نَفْسِ مِثْلِهَا. Raise me not a single degree before the people without lowering me. It is like in myself. Like in myself, I should remain humble. Many times, whenever we acquire certain positions, certain status, we become this and that in the eyes of the people. We are tempted to feel of a certain status. And we deceive ourselves. We forget what we are. So Imam is teaching us that when you find that you have a certain position amongst the people, you are being looked at in certain way amongst the people, be careful. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you feel the same, at the same rate, you feel the humility in you. And this is important, because if one forgets his reality, he's going to be lost. He starts falling down. And this is the path to destruction. The best way is to remember what is your beginning, what's your end, what are you inside yourself. فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ مِمَّا خُلِقَ. Don't forget what's your original, مِمَّا خُلِقَ. What have you been created from? هَلْ أَتَى عَلَى الْإِنسَانِ حِينٌ مِنَ الدَّهْرِ لَمْ يَكُنْ شَيْئًا مَذْكُورًا. Does it occur to a human being at one time he was nothing of mention? You are nothing. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought you into existence. So you remember that it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala favoring you, giving you, you remain humble in yourself. وَلَا, and then he continues saying, وَلَا تُحْدِثْ لِي عِزًّا ظَاهِرًا. Do not cause any exaltation for me that is apparent in the eyes of the people again. وَلَا تُحْدِثْ لِي عِزًّا ظَاهِرًا إِلَّا أَحْدَثْتَ لِي ذِلَّةً بَاطِنًا. So there is the izzah and there is dhillah. And there is izzah, which is in reality izzah, and there is dhillah that could be in the outside to be dhillah, but in the inside it is izzah. Sometimes we can confuse between the two. Imam says that if you give me izzah in the eyes of the people, make me feel the dhillah inside myself. Give me the inside, the wisdom to see the true izzah, al-izzah al-haqiqiyya. So Imam Hussein salawatullahi salamu alayhi, the best example here. Though he was martyred, he was killed alongside his family and his companions. Though his body was crushed, Imam Ridha alayhi salam says that on the day of Ashura, our honorable was humiliated. But the humiliation of Imam Hussein alayhi salam was in a different angle. It's looked at a different angle. He was disrespected, he was dishonored by these people, but his dignity, his respect, his honor is at the highest level. At the same time that he's remained by these people, his body is crushed and all that, he is at the highest level of izzah. That he has refused to put his hand in the hand of Yazid. Has not accepted to be humiliated by disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why he said, Hayyata minna dhillah. Okay? That humiliation is far away from us. So the izzah that Imam had, no one could reach it. That he would pay any price to maintain his own honor and his own dignity. That there was izzah haqiqiyya, is the true izzah, the real izzah, the real exaltation, that he could not humble himself in front of a tyrant like Yazid. But you look at Yazid, who was having all these armies, and he would sin amongst the people that to be having izzah, but in true sense, he was the most humiliated person in the true sense. He lacked it from inside. And the important thing is that the izzah is from inside, it's not from the outside. The outside glorification and exaltation has got nothing. It has nothing in reality. It goes with the winds. It goes with the time. But what remains is the true izzah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives. So he says, وَلَا تُحْدِثْ لِعِزًّا ظَاهِرًا. Do not cause me to be exalted in the open by people. إِلَّا أَحْدَثْتَ لِي ذِلَّةً بَاطِنٍ. But I remain humble in myself, عِنْدَ نَفْسِي بِقَدَرِهَا. And then he continues with the other part of the dua, which inshallah ta'ala will try and expound on it in the following sermons, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us respite. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He guides us to acquire these noble traits of akhlaq, and that He gives us tawfiq to follow the path of our Imam alayhim salam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من اللعين الشيطان الرجيم بفضل الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطاهرين. عباد الله أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل والورع عن محارمه واجتناب عما نهى عنه. We extend our congratulations once again to the Imam of our time, salawatullah salamu alayhi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Wa ajjal Allahu ta'ala farajahu al-sharif. And to all the maraji of taqleed and to the ulamas and mu'minun on this happy occasion of the birthday anniversary of one of the greatest ladies, greatest personalities in our lives, السيدة زينب بنت أمير المؤمنين صلوات الله وسلامه عليهما. Her birthday is on such a day. It was on 5th Jamad al-Ula, the 5th month, in the 5th year of Hijrah. And her coming to this world brought happiness to the house of the Prophet ﷺ and to the Islamic world. It was a new light that came into this world. And as we learn from the hadith, it is the Prophet ﷺ himself who gave her the name Zainab. Zainab, which means the beauty of the father, or a good tree that has good scent and good fruits. And Zainab Salamullahi Ta'ala alayha was such, and really a true meaning of this word, that she is a beauty. She is a representation of the beautiful teachings of Islam. Indeed, she is a partner of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam in saving Islam. And if you look at the lives of the great people and the great women that are mentioned in the Quran, they all stood at a certain point with the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like Asya bint Muzahim, like Maryam salawatullah salamu alayha, like Khadija alayha salam, and the Fatima salawatullah salamu alayha, who gave her life to save the true Islam, the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to save the imamat and the wilayat of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. She sacrificed herself for that. And Zainab salamullahi ta'ala alayha was such a lady that stood against all the storms of her time, against the tyrants. Despite being in the most difficult time, she is the one who defended the imamat, defended the Islam, protected the imam of her own time, and made this message of Islam to reach out. She was able to expose the transgression, the oppression, the misguidance of Banu Umayyah. She is the cause today that we can still remember the Prophet, remember the message of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. And therefore we owe her this much. We need to remember her and we need to learn from her. She's the true role model that should be presented to the youth, to everybody. We should learn from her. Her life is full of lessons and full of important reflections on our lives. She is a source of inspiration. And we must try and study the life of this great lady. That in her life, she stood for this nobility and for noble traits that Islam is established upon. As we pass this great day in her remembrance, we should try and learn something from her. It's unfortunate that sometimes we assume and we take it for granted that we know such personalities. But if you listen to those who have studied the lives of them, like I was listening to one priest, Catholic priest, who was trying to analyze the life of the Zainab Salamullahi alayha and to realize how little we know ourselves about these important personalities. That a person who does research about them would come out with pearls, lu'lu', from their lives, and would present such personality in the best form. We need to know them because we are lucky that we possess such personalities. And we have the true role models to learn from. We should spare some time to study them properly. If you look at the life of the Zainab Salamullahi alayha, she represents all noble traits. The teachings of Islam on how a human being should be or a woman should be. She was alima, a scholar, mufassira of the whole Quran after being raised in the house of prophethood. She is a transmitter of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, of her mother Fatima Zahra, the khutbah that is known of Fatima Zahra alayha salam, the famous khutbah al-Fadakiyya. Zainab Salamullahi ta'ala alayha is the transmitter of that khutbah. She listened to it and she memorized it and she passed it to us. And so it is with Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam and with her brothers, Imam al-Hassan and Hussein. She's such a great personality, great alima. You look at her in terms of ibadah, she's unequaled in that field, that she would not miss out nawafil. Even in the hardest of times, in the most difficult of times, even on the night after the martyrdom of her brother Imam Hussein alayhi salam, she was not weakened. She would still stand up for nawafilatul layl. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam asked her to remember her in nawafilatul layl because he knew that she would not miss it. Only that on that night she would not stand because of the weakness that she had acquired, because of the tribulations that she has been taken through. This is Zainab salamullahi ta'ala alayha. And she remains to be a beacon of faith, the lantern of guidance, a partner of Imam Hussein alayhi salam saving Islam. Today it is her birthday and we remember her as such. Praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us tawfiq to know her and to learn from her, to emulate her, and that she guides us in our lives, in our social life, in everything, and that we remain with her in our lives. We are not separated from her at any moment. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin abdika wa rasulik wa salli ala Ali amir al-mu'minin wa salli